but how has SWAT and been able to keep you around? What do they provide? Is it management? Is it resources? Is it the day-to-day engagement? Is it the mentorship, inspiration? I mean, what exactly keeps you here? Because to me, that's secret sauce as a business owner, right? Like, how do we retain people? We get champions in here. How do you retain those champions? And you managing teams here, you want to be able to do that. So what do you think the success is in us being able to retain you, and how do you push that out to the team? Welcome, guys. Andy Dumas, founder, CEO of SwatRoofing and Contracting. Today, we have a special guest in the house, Travis Ham. He's been with us about 4 years, I believe. We're going to find out here in a second. Glad you're in the studio, brothers. Tell me, Travis, a lot of our viewers are wanting to know, what it takes to get to the next level. So let's kind of talk about your past and where you come from. What did you do before you come to the SWAT team?
Yeah, so immediately before this, started a fuel company, did like wet hose service for construction sites, did that for about 4 years. Got out of that business. Prior to that, I was in the fitness industry, ran clubs, on the West Coast for most of the time, in Vegas and Oregon.
So you traveled around doing that?
Yeah, I was kind of the cleanup guy. I'd go to underperforming clubs and go in there and clean house.
Oh, you got the dirty work.
Yeah, I got the dirty work, and then they sent me another one, and then finally got to grand open a couple clubs, which is awesome, out in Oregon, actually.
Cool. So I'm assuming one of the bigger clubs, big organization.
Yeah, with 24-hour fitness.
24-hour fitness. So big corporate world, I guess.
Sir, yeah.
Yeah. So what you doing that before? What exactly made you get out of that industry? Because fitness is kind of like it's kind of a sexy job, a career path. I don't know a whole lot of people that have gotten rich working for corporate America. There's a lot of coaches and fitness guys out there that have done very well for themselves now. But, just working at 24-hour or whatever. What made you decide to want to do that to start? Were you like a fitness guy before, or what got you into it?
Yeah, so I got into it as a personal trainer. One of my mentors, he took over the Las Vegas market as the district manager, convinced me to come out there, and I just kind of needed to get away from DFW at the time. This was 15 years ago. So I went out to Vegas. He made me start at the bottom, start as a trainer, and work my way up to running clubs, and then moved back home, got with my current wife, had a kiddo, and then about that time I had a buddy with an underperforming business in the fuel industry. I came in there maybe a little bit cocky and said, hey, man, I'll 10 extra revenue in a month. And so I came in, first month, we blew it up, and then stuck around for about 4 hours. And then about, 5 years after that, you and I met, and here I am.
Yeah. So, coming from what you were doing before to doing what we do here now, what's the differentiator? Because obviously, financially, your world has changed. So tell me what the differentiator is. Why do you think there's more money in the home services, namely roofing, what we do? Why is there more money in this than there was what you did previous to?
I mean, a handful of reasons. Obviously, the profit margins in this business are unlike anything else, and I owe a lot of my skill sets from corporate America, a lot of things that make me successful in this, which I think are a part of the business that might be missing in home services,
Sure.
It is a lot of, mom and pop type businesses don't have all the structure. So the structure that what I learned in corporate America and how to structure and how to manage people and lead teams, I've transitioned that over to this industry, which has allowed us to grow this thing.
Yeah, and I tell everybody it's big corporations are built on systems.
Yeah.
24-hour wouldn't be 24-hour without systems. Lifetime Fitness wouldn't be Lifetime Fitness without systems, right? So plug and play. If a couple of people get lost, Lifetime Fitness or 24-hour Fitness isn't closing their doors.
Exactly,
right?
100%.
Because it's all built on systems. So what kind of money were you accustomed to making, if you don't mind sharing? And if you do, just give us a roundabout. Like, what kind of money did you typically make working at 24-hour fitness, traveling around the country, opening clubs, doing stuff like that? What kind of money did you make?
Yeah, so annually it was six figures, mid six figures.
Okay.
I started out making, as a pretty high performing trainer, I was started around 70, 80 and just kind of worked my way up. Obviously with the travel came relocation packages and things like that. But for the most part, I was kind of stuck in that mid 100 range, maybe a little bit over.
Okay. And then you came to work here. What brought you to SWAT to start with?
Well, actually, I always kind of stayed away from this industry. I knew there was a lot of money, but I just didn't agree with some of the mindsets of the people I knew that owned roofing companies. And then decided to get into the roofing business, starting with a company out in Dallas. It was going real well. Just some of my concerns started to present themselves with that company. And then coincidentally, because of, the relationships, you have with my father, he introduced us. And then I gave it a shot and came over the day after we met, and I'm here now.
Well, we're glad you're here, by the way. I ask people this frequently. What do you think has changed in you through the years as far as a mindset? Because obviously the amount of money you make now versus what you used to make is significantly different. So what does that look like, and how has that changed your mindset? Like, people think mindset, if I just change my mindset, everything's going to change. That's not necessarily the case. You have to change your activities and some of the things go into it. So tell me what has changed for you to take you to that next level.
There's the thought process of work smart, not hard. And a lot of people take that and think, 4-hour work week type stuff. And I've realized, yes, absolutely work smart, not hard, but hard work it's inevitable. You're going to have to work hard. You're going to have to put in the hours. The more I work in this business, the more money I make. You know what I mean? I can have all the systems we've built and all the things we've created to create working smart. But with that being said, if I'm not out here busting my butt, man, it's not going to come. I'm not going to grow the way I have.
So increased activity.
Yeah, 100%.
You got to do more. Yeah.
Yep.
So you got to work smarter, but you got to increase that activity for 100%. Sure. Yeah. And so many people lose sight of that. They want to get rich quick scheme. Everybody wants it. I mean, if it was that easy, we'd all do it, right? So, that's a thing that I always think is super important that people don't grasp enough. If you're doing the same activity every day and you just change your mindset, that doesn't work. If you change your mindset but continue to do the same activity, that doesn't work. Like you have to do both. It's kind of all inclusive. Here's what I've noticed about you and the growth that you have created for yourself in your career path is that the way you work is so much smarter now. You had alluded to that earlier. It's so much smarter, and the reason I say that is I see success is it's a mindset, but it's a lifestyle. So many people say, I want to get rich working Monday through Friday, 8 to 5.
Yep.
Hey, money's not everything. You're right. But here's what I tell people. I want the work-life balance. How do you feel about work-life balance? I want to hear your 2 cents on the work-life balance thing.
Yeah.
Because I know you work with a lot of new guys, and everybody's like, man, that seems like a lot. How does that work-life balance thing work out for you? Yeah,
I think it's something that doesn't really get brought up because it's kind of fugazi. It's not real, right? Work-life balance. It's based off of the time you have with your family, putting everything you have into it, no different than the time you're at work, putting everything into it. One of my mentors I mentioned earlier, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So if I'm going to get out here and bust my butt, out here in roofing, if I only have, 12 hours a week with my daughter, like I'm going to go all in for those 12 hours, no different than however many hours I'm out in the field or in this office, I'm going to go all in. And so I think it's what you do when you're there and your presence, during that time that really matters.
Yeah, you're not half-assing it.
Yeah,
you're not half-assing work. You're not going to half-ass your personal life,
100%.
Right? Like you don't want to go all in at work and then half-ass your personal life. If so, you're going to get half-ass results.
Yep.
So you got to go get it. So you've been with us how long exactly?
No less than 4 years.
A little less than 4 years. So has the business changed in 4 years, or have you changed in 4 years?
As far as the industry?
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't seen the industry change. It seems like it was the day one. I've just had to change the way I operate, and so no, the business hadn't changed. We've changed within these four walls.
Absolutely.
A lot. But the industry as a whole, other than some, changes with the insurance and kind of the standards there, they change a little bit, but they have ebb and flows either way. They're going to change year in, year out.
Well, when it comes to the industry as a whole, what do you feel SWAT does differently, and what's kept you here? Because, longevity means everything. We, of course, as an organization want to keep you around, but how has SWAT and been able to keep you around? What do they provide? Is it management? Is it resources? Is it the day-to-day engagement? Is it the mentorship, inspiration? I mean, what exactly keeps you here? Because to me, that's secret sauce as a business owner, right? Like, how do we retain people? We get champions in here. How do you retain those champions? And you managing teams here, you want to be able to do that. So what do you think the success is in us being able to retain you, and how do you push that out to the team?
So we're obviously in the growth phase. We're growing at a pretty rapid rate. So there's a lot of times that we have to pivot and things change. What's kept me here and kept me motivated is, regardless of the change, regardless of having to pivot, there's always transparency. There's transparency in everything from the numbers our sales guys see to the conversations me and you have when we do have to make bigger changes. So transparency is a huge one, and obviously with 25 years in the business, we have a foundation, we have a platform that we can basically do anything with, right? We kind of in this startup phase where we're growing at a rapid rate, but we're growing at a rapid rate with 25 years of experience that you have, and a platform that we can go as high as we want to go with this platform. So
yeah, and that's a beautiful thing, and it definitely makes it easier. But we're constantly having to pivot.
Yeah,
and people struggle with that in business because people don't like change. But if you're growing, you're going to have to change. If you're coming from the fitness industry, how do you get your muscles to grow?
Yep.
You have to change. You have to change the exercise because your body gets accustomed to what it's doing, right? So it's no different in business. So with the guys that you're bringing in and that you're training and you're helping grow and be successful, give me one or two key factors that you feel really help change people and get them to that next level.
Yeah, it's not the same with any two people. Like, you truly have to be a chameleon with every person. Some people, you gotta grab them by the face mask and have a difficult conversation. Some guys, you gotta pull them one-on-one and sit in the truck and lower your voice and talk a little softer too. So it's being able to, identify, how each person likes to be coached, right? Because it's no different than being out on football field. You know what I mean? Every guy needs to be coached a little bit different. So I think identifying that and trying to identify that early on, and get out there and have fun, man. We're just roofers, we got to enjoy what we're doing.
Right. And that's part of it. And it's a team sport.
Yeah.
Like I tell everybody, this should be a team sport. So many people get out there and they're just thrown into an area, thrown into a neighborhood. They're untrained. They really don't know what they're looking for, what they should be doing. And it's kind of learn on the fly. And we have a lot of good people that are great technicians that get out of this industry because they just didn't have the proper training and didn't have the proper team around them, because people don't like to work. But you know what? If they see the boss man out there getting his hands dirty and getting in the grind with them, well, that's life-changing.
Yeah.
That's magic. Like I tell people, and so many people say, what, if you had the magic sauce, what is it? I said, now, if you're ready, I'm going to give you the secret sauce to becoming very, very successful. Very successful. Work hard.
Yeah.
Like, you can't say that too loud because it scares people. Like, hey, man, work hard. You're going to be successful.
100%.
So, there's other things you have to change, but you never have to get away from the working hard part. And if there is a way to do it without working hard, I don't know that way.
Exactly.
Like I tell people, me and you know how to grind.
Yeah, 100%.
Get in and get your hands dirty. If you were talking to the audience out there, Travis, give us one or two takeaways, because getting into a different career path can be difficult. It can be scary. There's a lot of challenges. A lot of people don't realize that when you're successful, there's people behind the scenes that are cheering and supporting, and they really don't get enough credit. The people that are in front of the limelight are the ones always getting the credit. There's truly a team. I wouldn't be where I am without you guys and without the entire team that's out there today. Doing hard, difficult things. So what would be one or two things that you feel would be substantial that you could give to our audience and say, hey, if you really want to get to the next level, you got to get uncomfortable, but these are one or two things that help me get to the next level? What do you think those one or two things would be?
I mean, you said it. Be comfortable being uncomfortable. You know what I mean? This isn't a business you could just dip your toe in, right? Because it may take you 6 months, it may take you a year, but if you go all in for that year, your life will change. And I can guarantee your life will change. And then the support system's huge, man. Feed your troops. You know, if you've got a spouse, a wife, husband behind you, like, they need to be your biggest cheerleader. If they're not, you probably need to have a conversation, because that's going to make it a lot more difficult, especially when you're getting going in this business, because it is, it's going to suck some time out of you. You know what I mean? But if you can get past that hump, you know, that first year, when it levels out and now people are calling you, and now, you know, things just start to flow, you know, and we've talked about it a lot. I guess it's unexplainable, you know, but once you hit that point, it may be 8 months, it may be 6 months, maybe a year. Once you hit that point, you'll know you hit it, and it'll just kind of flow, and the business comes in. It's a lot easier. I mean, you still got to work hard.
Oh, for sure.
It doesn't matter what you're doing.
That doesn't go away.
But just get to that point, you know, and just put your head down and just go all in. And I assure you, you will have success if you're surrounded by a good team in this right business. It may not be the right business for you, but I haven't seen anybody that failed because it's the wrong business. I've only seen them fail because, again, they just kind of dipped their toe in it and they didn't see the results they wanted in, you know, 90 days.
Lack of commitment.
Yeah, lack of commitment. So
what's the hardest thing day to day with what you deal with? Managing people, because, you know, we have some more mature folks here, we have some younger folks here, we have middle of the road folks, you know, we kind of have all walks of life here, and that's what makes this team so special, and this industry so special to me. Anybody can really do it if they're committed and they really, really want to. What would you say is the most difficult thing for you managing people? Because instead of just putting the roof on, you've done that portion, but now you're managing teams of people and champions. How difficult is that?
Yeah, it's definitely not easy. The thing is, we all have problems. There's something going on behind the curtains, behind the scenes. You just have to be able to set that stuff aside. They don't need to worry about their problems. You don't need to worry about your problems. We have one goal. We all have the same goal. Let's go get it, right? You can't bring that stuff to work with you, and you've got to teach people how to not bring that stuff to work with them, you know, because it's always going to be there. It's never going to go away. So I think just really instilling that in the team, you know, when we're here, we're a team on one mission, you know, everything else, just silence it, you know, and
all this guy do is there's no benefit there.
There's no benefit.
Sitting around, everybody talking about their problems. Like I'm not a counselor, don't want to be one, and don't know what that would look like. But I know this: if you and I sat around and talk about our problems all day, we're probably going to walk out and not feel as good as what we did when we first walked in here.
100%.
You know, that becomes very contagious. Winning can become very contagious as well. So let's talk about the good stuff. So obviously, financially, your life has changed. What's the you have a daughter. Wife, what's the future look like for you? What do you see? What's the next big thing we can see out of Travis? I mean, is there something you're going to buy? You making investments? Are you looking at property, a house? I mean, kind of give some insight of the next level of Travis that we're going to see.
Yeah, so that's what I spend anytime I'm not working or I'm not with family, and I'm scrolling right now. I'm looking at a good amount of land out in Oklahoma. I'm trying to convince my wife.
Okie dokie.
With the tornadoes, I don't think I'm going to get to move there, but I'd like to have some property out there. And then
plenty of work though.
yeah, there is. And then there's a new Corvette out that I've got my eyes on that I want to get out there and toast you in that Lambo sometimes.
Yeah. Well, we need to. I would love for you to have one.
Yeah.
I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader on that one. Your wife may not be crazy to hear that, but I want you to do that. But we definitely want to bubble wrap you and keep you around for a little bit. If there's anything that you would want to give people advice on, you know, what is something that you would want to give people advice on? Like, you know, because you've seen other challenges that a lot of people don't realize are out there. You know, you make the initial hump and you start making some money, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, you know, I was making $50,000, $60,000 a year. Now all of a sudden I'm making a couple $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
Now, what's the challenge in that when people, you know, all of a sudden start making, you know, 150, 200, 250,000? What do you think changes in them? Is it arrogance? Is it okay, I can blow some steam off? Is it all of a sudden they became smarter than everybody else, and now they have this, arrogance where they're like, man, you can't tell me nothing? I mean, because we've talked about that a lot. It's almost, it's a bubble, so to speak. You take a guy from making, 60, 70K a year to making 200 really quickly, and you show him how to do that, and then all of a sudden you can't tell him anything because he's like, bro, I got it figured out. That wasn't you. That was all me. How do you overcome that challenge when you're in the field?
I like to play poker, and I think the problem is no different than poker. You can't count your chips, right? When that stack starts getting big, right, you start betting a little bit different. You start playing a little bit different, no different than when you start making money out here. So it's put that aside, right? Set a goal. Our first goal was 24 months of everything I had. Set that goal and just put everything else aside. Don't count your chips. Just let it build up. 24 months later, take a look, and you won't go through that. Well, now I'm starting to make some $15,000 checks. Now I'm starting to make some $30,000 checks, because you look in the bank account 24 months later, and you're like, okay, but nothing, you haven't changed, like
right.
you're still operating the same way. So just don't count your chips.
And I that's so true. As so many people don't understand when I say that. When you first come in, one of the first things when you get inside these four walls that I tell people is take money out of the equation. Yep. And people are like, there's no way you can't do that. Well, are you able to do that?
Yep.
Sure you are. And it's changed your life, because when you take money out of the equation, we all have problems. We got shit going on in our lives. We got loved ones that are having health issues or financial troubles, whatever. We all deal with that, right? But if you can take money out of your personal equation, hell, you have problems like everybody else. But when you take money out of it, whew, you can breathe a sigh of relief, right? But so many people, as soon as they start making that money, they get rid of it, and then you get 12 months down the road, and they're like, dude, I made all this money. Where's it at? Yep. And you just start spending it because you have it. Like you say, you start betting different. Yep. You start doing different things. So how do you see the future of SWAT making an impact on our industry? Because, we're going through a lot of challenges. You and I have talked about that. And as far as how we're going to make a bigger impact and leave a bigger footprint and help more folks out there, because, the roofing industry is a different dynamic than most businesses. So how do you think we make a bigger impact in the future?
I mean, it's if we instill everything we've been talking about, and we have 100 guys out there that are thinking like we do and want to help people like we do, you've just created 100 more people that are out there making money, using that money in the right ways. Obviously money's not everything, like you said, but it can do a lot for a lot of people. You know what I mean? So,
do you think anybody can do this job? And what are the requirements, do you feel? Because, you're hiring, you're training people. Can anybody do it? One. And two, what's expectations? When they get into this, what is their expectation?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of loaded. I think anybody can do it for sure. I think there's it's definitely challenging, but I've seen people come in here. We've had, wives come in with their husband and end up hiring the wife and the husband. They both had, huge amounts of success, and one of them never been in sales in their life. You know what I mean? So if you follow, we've simplified it. We've simplified the process, and we're all on the same goal. And our goal isn't to get out here and sell a bunch of roofs, right? If we can teach people and advise people on the things that we focus on and how we can help this industry and help homeowners, there's no downside, right? So yes and no. I think anybody can do it if they can follow the steps and if they're coachable, which, success rate's pretty high.
Yeah, and that's half the battle. You have to be coachable.
Yeah, you got to be coachable.
So many people get stuck in their ways, and they think their way is the right way. And in their industry, it may be here. This is a little bit different animal, right? Yeah. And I was alluding to that earlier, where I tell people, it's very important that you understand what your customer avatar is. You need to know what their needs are. It's not about you. It's about what their needs are, right? So how big a piece of property are you looking at? Can we get you and I haven't talked, that's the first I've heard. I knew you were looking at some property, but what are we thinking? We talking a lot or two or acres? Or
yeah, a few acres, in Oklahoma, it's a little bit different as far as pricing. So we're looking in the 50 to 100 acre range.
You're not moving up there anytime soon, are you?
It's only about an hour and 30 minutes from the office. So
that's not bad.
I drive probably 4 hours a day either way. So
yeah,
I would if I could, but I don't know if I've finally got the wife out of Dallas, and I've got her out west of Fort Worth out in the country, and I'm just trying to get a little bit further, but it's challenging to convince her.
Yeah, it's where taxes are cheaper, right?
Yeah.
Like I tell everybody, man, you get west of town, taxes are a little bit cheaper.
Yep.
For sure. There's a reason we're out here. So anything else you would like to tell our audience? Because a lot of people, follow us and engage us because they're like, hey, how do I get to the next level? Whether it's in this industry or any other industry, what would be your advice? Give us a couple of little things that we can leave here with today that will give people some guidance or some food for thought on, wow, this is what it takes to change my life and really make an impact. Not $2 an hour or $10,000 a year. That's not enough to make a real impact. What would be a couple of things that we could leave our audience with that would say, hey, look, these are the first couple of things you really need to focus on, and that will help you get to the next level? Not to say it's going to do it immediately, but if you continue to do these couple of things, it'll have a long-term impact, and you will definitely make it to the next level. So give us a couple of little nuggets before you take off.
Yeah, so I'd say two things, man. Number one, I'll go back to the way you do one thing is the way you do everything, right? So whether you're being a dad, being a spouse, out here working, washing your car, like just go all in, and then next would be that first hour of your day. I see it now, right? Mine's definitely not perfect, probably more than 50% of the time, but the days when everything goes smooth by the time I get out of my house, getting kids ready, not having disagreements with the wife, just hone in on that first hour of your day, and I assure you, it'll bleed into the rest of the day. You have a good morning, you're going to have a good day.
I seen and talking about that, I saw a military guy, a general, admiral, whatever he was. That's one of the speeches he gave was, if you start your day by simply making your bed, you've accomplished a goal.
Yep.
That's one of the first things you do is you accomplish that goal. And, back then, I was on top of my stuff, but I'm like, wow, I know that sounds kind of ridiculous, but that had a lot of power to me. And I'm like, I'm going to make sure my bed is made, even on Sundays, Saturdays, it don't matter. Like, I accomplished a little something.
Yep.
And then when you start putting those little bitty accomplishments together, like you said, simple things, brushing your teeth, making sure you got your hair done, you got your cap, you got your uniform, you got everything put together. It's just like, man, it's kind of a great start to a day. And then it becomes such a habit. You're setting yourself up for success every single day, even on the weekends. Like I said, you want to hang out with your kid, you've got up, you made your bed, you've done all your things, and now you're like, you can spend a good quality time with your wife and your kiddo, right?
Yep.
Like
and it's contagious.
Yeah.
If my day starts off good, my wife, my daughter, she's going to go to school happier. My wife's going to do whatever she does in a better mood,
Yeah,
so
for sure.
We're all just, it's definitely contagious. Then you bring it out to your team, and it's contagious with the team. So it's super, super. And I've noticed that a lot in the last 6 months, is just, what does that first 30 minutes or an hour of my day look like? And it seems like 100% of the time, it affects the rest of my day.
Yeah, it's huge, and people don't know that. So, I would like to tell you guys out there, if when you wake up, your first hour of your day, 30 minutes, think about the people around you. What can you do to inspire, motivate, make their day better, and make them feel good? Because if they feel good, they're going to go out and inspire others as well. So it's not all about us. It's about how can we inspire others and make a bigger impact. And whether you're going through Starbucks, whatever, if the person behind the window were accepting the money or doing whatever, they're just like happy and joyful and gleeful and having a great day, it's contagious. It makes you feel better, right? So if we all did that, the world would be a better place. So that's great advice, man. So we appreciate you coming in the studio. Hey, keep us updated. When's the property place gonna?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Hopefully here in the next couple months.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you're gonna have a Merry Christmas, man.
Yeah.
Hey, Travis, we appreciate you coming in. Know you're busy, bro, so we're gonna let you get back to it. And if you ever need anything from us or want to give advice to our viewers out there, come in and see us. We'd love to sit down in the studio with you and get an update about the property, about definitely the Corvette that we're not going to travel over 55 miles an hour. So, but yeah, thanks for coming in today. And if you want to leave anything with our viewers, now's the time.
Hey, no, thanks for tuning in, guys. Hopefully I get to talk to you again. Thanks.
Cool, brother.